All right, good evening. It is 5 o'clock.
Oh dear.
Oh,
There we
Casey
go.
did it.
I know I didn't. What time I didn't?
Oh, boy. All right, we have new equipment here that's very too much fun, so. All right, well, good evening. We're going to call our meeting to order. So welcome to our Grants Pass School District Number 7 board meeting tonight on June 8th. We will begin with our Pledge of Allegiance. So if you will all rise and join with me in reciting our pledge. Ready to begin.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Are we going to have the camera on tonight or?
Yeah, Todd, the camera should be on and you can see us when we're speaking. Todd, we don't see ourselves on the screen.
You don't? Okay. Well, we can see you.
Enough for me.
Sounds like the man behind the
Where's
curtain.
Camera, so we know where to look.
The camera is
Right smack in the middle
right below the
That
screen.
Right
gray
in the
thing.
middle. Oh, I was looking up.
There we are.
Okay.
There we go.
There we go.
There we go.
All right, thank you. All right, so first item on the agenda are communications. Do we have any written communications, Superintendent Cole?
No written communications this evening.
Okay, we would also like to remind individuals who are joining us tonight via Zoom that if you'd like to speak to a specific action item on our agenda, you can do so by putting your question in the chat, and Director Bloomquist will be monitoring that and bring it up at the appropriate time. Number 3 on our agenda, our consent agenda. We need approval of our previous minutes from May, our board agenda for this evening, and the financial personnel report. Can we have a motion to approve?
So moved. Member Durbin.
Thank you.
Second, Member Wilkins.
Any discussion? All right, Tanya, can we have a roll call vote, please?
Member Delagrange,
Yes.
Member Durbin,
Yes.
Member Brownell,
Yes.
Board Chair Nelson,
Yes?
Member Coleman,
Yes.
Member Wilkins,
Yes.
Member Richardson.
Yes. Thank you, Gary, and everyone else. All right, item 4.0, our reports, staff reports. We will begin tonight with our high school principals report. So Principal Thompson and Principal Marvel. Who would like to go first? Kelly, we see you up on the screen, so why don't we turn the time over to you?
Sounds good. Afternoon, everybody.
Hey, Kelly.
Kelly.
Hey, so got a few things I'd like to share as we're winding down here. First of all, we had a wonderful graduation, and I'd like to thank all of you that were able to attend and be a part of that. We had it last Wednesday, excuse me, when it was very warm at 4 o'clock in the afternoon. So that was kind of interesting, but we made it through. It was toughest on the kids with no cover over them, but glad that all the people that got to attend, parents and loved ones and board members and staff were able to be undercover. So that was good with the tents for them. We had 13 students that graduated, 11 were able to attend, a couple weren't able to for whatever reasons. And it was a very nice ceremony getting back to having all of our kids together and being able to speak for every student by a staff member. So it was outstanding, and we were really proud of what we were able to do. Holly did a great job, our office manager, Holly Jordan. Along with that, earlier in the day at 1 o'clock during the day, we had our GD completion ceremony, and we had 24 finishers so far. And a few of the fun facts that go along with GD and how this year went. We were able to give 139 total GED tests this year. Christopher Rosetta is our test coordinator for that. And of those 139 so far, 130 of those tests were passed. So we had a 94% pass rate. So we were very, very excited about that and had very good completion. And what was real interesting when I was able to talk to Director Evans was that when Ann gave me some data, as of November, December, and January, each of those months, we only had one completer. And from there, we had 3 and then 7, and it just kept going up. So had we not had the goofy year that we had, we might have been even more successful. But the kids really did well, and they stepped up and did a tremendous job. And as of right now, because of the summer school opportunity and GD gets to continue, we have an opportunity of about another 5 more kids finishing. So we could be approaching 30 GD completers this year, and that is going to be really remarkable compared to how we were able to start the year and what transition there. Based on that, we are going to transition to summer school. We're looking forward to that. For the students that are working with their GD, I'll start with them first. We will just continue school for the next 2 weeks here in June. We meet on Tuesday, Wednesdays, and Thursdays from 10 to 12. Ann Davidson and Stephanie DeWitts are the ones that handle that. We'll take the week of the 4th off, and then we'll start again July 6th and go Tuesday, Wednesdays, and Thursdays running through the 19th of August. So those kids have an opportunity to come in, take their GD readies, and also hopefully get some finished up, because those 19-year-olds particularly, we want to get done, because we won't be able to have them continue in the fall based on their age. They're going to age out. So very excited about that. And then along with that, during the summer, which will correspond during the month of July, starting July 5th and running through the 29th, every Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday, we'll have our regular summer school for those students that are diploma bound and are earning credit. And we're going to be offering 3 opportunities: a general science for science credit. Gary Miller is going to be there doing that. Entrepreneurship, we're looking for CTE type of credit, which Jalen Dinkins will be able to do with the students there. And then we'll have our regular garden interns that'll be doing that. We have sessions for those kids to rotate around and work in the garden, and also coordinate with the OSU Extension Service. Ann Gross has come from there and helped us with our kids and our garden and our food program. So really looking forward to that. And then we do have some kids that they have some Edgenuity classes to finish. We want to kind of wrap those up and be able to have an opportunity to finish those Edgenuity classes. So really looking forward to that. And right now we have 30 kids that we're targeting. So we can have 2 groups of 15 where they go for about an hour and a half, then switch. We run from about 8 to 12, and we get the opportunity. Jeremy helps us out with busing and get some kids there. So very excited to be able to continue education and be able to get kids on track or finish up through GED. And then the last little thing that we're excited about, if you've driven by Gladiator or been by in the last week or so, is that we have our new modular out there, which will have our GED program moving out to that building up by the road there. And also GPAS will be able to open up and have regular classes going on again here in the fall. So very thankful to the board and the commitment there, and the money that Sherry and Trish and the directors were able to come up with, so we could have 2 more classrooms to be able to start doing some expansion. And with that expansion, we're going to be looking to hire an electives teacher to get those areas taken care of as well. So it's been a fabulous year. Really appreciate all the support and stuff, and a lot going on. But thank you very much for all you guys have contributed. Appreciate it.
Kelly, I wanted nothing more than just a big, huge Kelly by everybody. You deserve the biggest one there is. It's been an honor to work with you, man. Love you. From Grants Pass High School, and unless I didn't mean to if anyone had a question for Kelly, I guess I should stop and pause. As
Go
usual.
ahead, Brian.
Go ahead, Brian.
All right. Report from Grants Pass High School. First off, you have had the pleasure of hearing from Ursula Nash before. She's been honored a number of times based on her student results testing in German. And this year she was honored. They kind of find new ways of honoring her. And it was the Oregon Association of Teachers of German that honored Ursula with the Outstanding Teacher Award for Distinguished Performance in Teaching German. So I have a certificate I'll be presenting to her, but she is just a gem, and we are so fortunate to have her, and especially her students are fortunate to have her. So kudos to Ursula Horstman Nash. On a somewhat related subject, the seal of biliteracy. I don't know if Marlene or Todd have a very brief 3-slide show presentation, but I would love to. There we go. You have also had this presentation the last 2 years. Kara Rhodes gave it to you, and Michelle Napier put a little longer version together, but we're just going to do a three-pager here in interest of time.
If we go to the next slide, you're going to see some of our students who earned that seal of biliteracy. The first slide here is just a recent history over the last 3 years of the number of students who have earned it and the languages in which they've learned that, both obviously English being one and then the other language you see here. This is something that both Kara Rhodes and now Michelle Napier have worked very, very hard to develop and encourage. And during a pandemic, we were thrilled to get the 6 students. In fact, we actually have another student that is still taking their test. Even though they're a graduated senior, it was important for them to still earn their seal. And so they're working on that now, and we won't know their test results for several weeks, so we can't count them as a completer yet or as a earner of the seal. But very proud of our students, and let's take a look at those names and faces. Next slide. There we go. So you see Jody and Jair and Karis and the languages in which they earned beyond English, their seal by literacy. And then we have 3 additional students. There we go, Clarissa and Dulce and Miriam. So in Spanish and German. So that is not easily earned, but something that obviously skill sets we want to develop in as many students as possible and to celebrate that. So congratulations to all those students. Job well done. Thank you for those who are able to attend our graduation ceremonies. Really excited for our students. And I know, as Kelly mentioned, I know a lot of work from our staff putting those together. So kudos to all of our staff and setting up and taking down and supervising. We were very happy at the result of this, all 4 ceremonies. Also a note, and you may have heard this at graduation, our orchestra competed in the OSAA culminating event and earned an outstanding rating. So very proud of all of our orchestra students. If you haven't had an opportunity, our theater program has a online access to their musical, which is actually just kind of a collection of musicals and is a lot of fun. And so if you have some time and a few dollars, you can watch their final performance this spring. And that's Justin Hockey, our theater teacher, that helped organize and put that on. As we've returned to normal school for the last 2.5 weeks, it's only been a little time, but it's been really fun to see some of the hands-on activities that we've missed. And in our science department, we were getting to see the egg drop experiment that they do, and they test out some of their egg drop methods to see if they've worked and how effective they are. We've seen some cat dissections, a lot of dead cats, and as well as some other animals. And that's been a lot of fun too, to see our kids being able to actually not just be in front of a computer screen, but get some hands-on activities. So fun for them. Finally, or actually 2 more things, English language learners, Tim Bartelt and Cristina Murillo have done a great job meeting the needs of many of our English learners. And they had a separate celebration for all those who graduated. Some of those are students who exited EL services in elementary, some in middle school, and some have continued on through high school. And it was fun to hear their stories. And Tim and Christina gave a great presentation in terms of just all the obstacles that many of them have overcome and worked very hard to earn their high school diploma. So kudos to Tim and Christina, and thank you to Susan Zatola, who paid for a very nice meal out of the budget there that she oversees, and got all the families to celebrate. I think we had about close to 50 people in attendance. And then finally, we're gearing up for next year like everybody else. We, at this point, have nearly 20 new, we'll have by the end of the summer, 20 new employees, 12 teaching positions and around 8 classified positions in total so far. And so that will mean a lot of training this fall as we receive those new employees. So excited to welcome them, and in just a few minutes, excited to congratulate some of our retirees that will be leaving as well. That's all from GP.
All right, any questions from the board?
It's like it's harder to be biliteracy than it is to be a valedictorian.
All right, well, thank you very much, Kelly and Ryan. We appreciate all that you're doing, and congratulations on our graduates, to and for our graduates this year. That's great. We're excited for them. 4.1.2, retiree and long-serving staff recognition.
Yeah, so real briefly, it's been tradition that we would recognize our retiring staff. here right now during this time, represented by their building administrators. Many of them I see have joined us this evening. You see some faces out there I've worked with for quite a while. So anyway, so we'll turn it over. This is not the
Todd has the list.
Todd has the ordered list, Todd. This is the one in the packet. There should be a different list broken down by school, starting at the elementary.
Correct. And I'll go ahead and introduce them. So Nevin Van Manen, if you're ready, you're up first.
Good evening, everybody. And I want to quickly just take time to honor two of our retirees. One is Marcy Scott. She served our district 22 years working with some of our most at-risk learners, both resource room, behavioral kids, and the last part of her career here at Highland. And she was just a real mentor to me. My first couple of years here helped me learn a whole lot about her world. She was very inspirational to me. She had health issue after health issue. She beat leukemia barely, and she just kept coming back and coming back. So big loss for us. I know she retired mid-year. She is in Arizona now with her husband, and it is a lot warmer and just really helps all of her health issues out. So Marcy Scott. And then Marcia Pratt, she's sort of an icon here at Highland. She's been here 31 years, every day here at Highland for 31 years as far as her career goes. And she's just one of those teachers. She gives her best for kids every day. She has for 31 years, and she's just kind of a fixture here. So that's kind of a big icon that is moving on, but she's got families and just some other things she wants to do. And so I just really want to honor Marcy Scott and Marcia Pratt and thank them both for the service to our school and our district.
All right. Thank you so much, Mr. Van Manen. Kelly Smith, you are up.
Buddy, I have the privilege to say a few words about Mickey Kroll. So I've written a few little pieces down. Bruce Perry says that the more healthy relationships a child has, the more likely he or she will be to recover from trauma and thrive. Relationships are the agents of change, and the most powerful therapy is human love. This is the gift and legacy that Mickey will leave behind and beyond. While I've only had the privilege of working with Mickey this one wild and crazy year, I've had the opportunity to see a window into the incredible work that she's done over the course of her career. It is Mickey's voice of wisdom reminding us that each and every person does as well as they can, when they can, at any given moment in time. If they're not doing well, there's something getting in the way, and it's our job to figure out what that is. This year, I witnessed Mickey's magical powers of connection, relationship, and perseverance in meeting students and their families where they are on countless occasions. It's truly just the way that Mickey does business. Joining the Lincoln team, I discovered there was a student in attendance that I'd had worked with in a previous district. The student had experienced tremendous barriers, yet it wasn't anything Mickey couldn't take on. Over the course of the days, weeks, and months, I watched this child transform under Mickey's care and support. She was a true testament to the fact that relationship, connection, and honoring a person and how well they can do in a given moment in time was the magical solution that we've been looking for with regards to really disruptive behavior. When I asked her if she'd realized the impact she'd had on this child, she casually said, "I'm just doing the Bruce Perry thing." Mickey's core belief, and I know she's laughing because I remember that moment, Mickey's core belief and value in people doing well, if they can, is evident in everything she does. One of the silver linings of this year is not only the ability to work with students in small group settings, but to witness the power of one. The power of one teacher, one adult, one connection, one relationship, and how that can truly transform a child's future. Mickey was that one for not only this student, but so many more. I was able to witness how she took a student that had never, ever made it through a full day of school, and she's coached him through the skills that he needs. Tomorrow he will end on a full day. He has been full day since the end of May. Huge success. Students such as this will carry on Mickey's legacy in their moments of success, and they will never doubt that they were loved for, cared for, and supported. I often joke that I want Mickey to come back and be a regular guest speaker and contributor in our staff meetings and staff newsletter. While I am so sad I only got to have 1 year of learning alongside Mickey, I know that the lessons she leaves behind will transcend far beyond her presence. Each time I encounter a challenging situation, I will ask myself, what would Mickey do? I will keep her many words of wisdom on my shoulder and in my heart. For instance, I'll remember how she taught us that the fingerprints of kindness that we leave behind are in all the actions we do. That connections are formed and relationships are built when you make time for casual conversations that are not school related, like asking, what did you have for dinner? Where did you sleep last night? I will remember that COVID has allowed us to slow down and connect more. Connection became more convenient, in the words of Mickey. What we need to take into the new normal is making more opportunities for connection to be convenient, just as it was this year. Mickey, my hope for you is that you never question the tremendous impact you've had on countless lives. When I think of you, I think of this quote. Remember, 100 years from now, it will not matter what your bank account was, or the sort of house you lived in, or the kind of car you drove. The world will be different because you were important in the life of a child. So thank you to Mickey. Tremendous loss for us, but happiness for her. And thank you.
Thank you, Kelly. Christine Mooney, you are up.
Well, that is going to be really hard to follow, Kelly. That was an amazing speech. Very nice. Well, I am very excited to honor Teresa Richardson, Terry. She is one of our explorations assistants, and she actually did not start off in explorations. She started off in food service, and she has served the district for 12 years. And she actually has worked at 4 different schools. She's worked at Lincoln, Riverside, Allendale, and Redwood. And when I first got to Redwood, she was in the kitchen, and then she left for a little bit, and then she came back home, is what I like to say. And I think she likes to say that too. And one of the things that I just absolutely love about Terry so much is that you can tell she adores and just loves working with kids. She has this twinkle in her eye. You can just tell that she just adores and just working side by side with them. She loves what she does. And I know that this decision was not easy for her because of how much she loves what she does. And I know she's excited about retirement because of what she's going to be doing. She has plans to travel and spend time with her family. I know she's in the middle of a big remodel project with her house. And so I know she's excited to get that done. But we are going to miss her so much. And I think I've talked her into maybe doing some subbing a little bit and coming back and seeing us. So we're very excited about that. But we are going to miss her so much because I know that every time I see her in the explorations classroom or just walking down the hall, just that twinkle in her eye is just what I'm going to miss so much. So anyway, I wish her the best. And again, we're just going to miss her so much.
And Christine, do you want to also go ahead and do Beth Tardu?
Sure, I would love to. And I had to fight Tanya Reimer a little bit on this. We had to go back and forth who's going to be talking about Beth. And because Tanya Reimer had the privilege of having her this year. And but yes, so Beth Tardu, she's kind of a District 7 staple. She's been around for, I think this is her 19th year in the district. she has been at the high school at Redwood, this year at GPO. And little known fact, I met Beth when she was athletic secretary at the high school, and I was a cheerleading coach. And so it's been a long, long time. One thing about Beth is that she loves to work and she loves people. She loves people and she loves to care for people. And if you ask people, they'll call her Mama Beth or Auntie Beth. And it's because she loves what she does so much. And I think that's why it was probably one of the hardest decisions for her was to retire, is because she loves what she does. I know that in talking with her, after making the decision to retire, she is over the moon excited about spending time with her grandbabies. In fact, she has a 5th grandbaby on the way. Her daughter Kelsey's she's going to be having another baby. And so she's going to have 5 grandbabies now. And she's very excited because in August, she will have all of her grandbabies together with her. And she's excited about having some time with her grandbabies and spending time with her husband, Jim, after retirement. But I think that one of the things that people are going to miss about Beth most is just how much she cares about the staff. She cares about her families and the students that she's worked with. And so big loss for District 7 and all of the people that she's worked with. And she is going to be missed terribly. And but we all wish her the best, and we know she's going to just thrive being grandma to her grandbabies and spending time with her husband, Jim. So best wishes.
Thank you, Christine. Robbie Henderson, you are up.
Okay, I get to talk about 2 absolutely amazing people. We're losing 2 people that are leaving a giant void here at Riverside. 2 that are I'm not sure how we're going to replace them just because of their energy and work ethic. I'm going to talk about the first one, Debbie Cutter. Debbie Cutter is a resource room assistant, and this lady has been here for 17 years and has always been an advocate for kids. I can't talk about her work ethic. She's just an absolutely amazing person, an educator, and she's a friend to everybody on staff. My kids go here, and I think they're going to be in tears when they realize she's not here next year, just because she makes those connections with kids, and it's going to be huge. She's a great teacher. She does the small groups, and it's just I'm going to miss her. I'm about ready to cry because I'm going to miss her because the impact that she has on our staff and our students. Debbie Cutter, 17 years, made our school and our community better. So I don't think she's here tonight. So Debbie, if you are, I love you. We're going to miss you. And I can't be prouder to be able to let you sail off into retirement, but I wish you were staying. And then Julie Harris. Julie is one of those people as educators, we meet a lot of people. And occasionally you come across somebody that makes you a better person and a better teacher. And Julie is that person for me. Julie has made me a better principal. In fact, I don't think I would have been nearly as successful coming to Riverside to an elementary school if Julie wasn't there and coaching me. She's a coach. She's a reading teacher. She's a reading coach. And she was my team. She is my person that, hey, Julie, what do you think about this? Hey, how can I do this better? She's the person that'll come in and, hey, you could have done this better. Did that really go the way you wanted? And I love that about Julie. She has at least 20 years of service here. 15 of those as a teacher, I believe, 15 or 16. But she started as a Title I assistant, just in the Title I room. And she's the kind of person that has that drive, that work ethic. Worked her way through college as she was doing it, got her teaching degree, came back, got to teach at Riverside, and then became the Title I teacher, which I believe was her calling. Not only is she amazing at looking at data and saying, what does this kid need to do to improve, but also helping our staff. Hey, this is what we need to look at for these kids and watch out for this. And kind of just, she makes Riverside a better place. You could give a name, and that person, she'll tell you exactly what they're reading, what they need to do to improve on their reading or their math. And I am just so proud to call her my friend. And I'm proud to say that I got an opportunity to work with Julie for the last several years. And I want to thank her for making me a better person. And she's the kind of person that when she's gone, there's the hole, because she makes Riverside that positive, that can-do place. And she makes it so teachers want to do better for their kids. And that's a hard, you can't teach that. It's just something that is in her heart, in her work ethic. And she's kind of the teacher of the school that just makes it all work. And I'm going to miss you terribly, Julie.
All right.
And I don't think I can say anything else.
You're good. Kelly Marble.
So I have the privilege to speak about Sue Hollenbeck, but before I start talking about Sue, for all you retirees out there in retiree land, congratulations to all of you. It's been, I know a lot of you folks that are retiring, and congratulations on the next phase of your journey. So as far as Sue goes, you can see, and I know we have a lot of supporters out there. It is Tuesday. It's Tie-Dye Tuesday. And yeah, and Sue's got hers on because she's one of the family members. And Sue has been in the district for 24 years, but Sue has been in the district much, much longer than that, closer to 50 years, because Sue was moved up from California and was a Fleming student, and then went to Grants Pass and graduated in 72. So she's been with us forever, and she started at Riverside volunteering and such with Cindy Horban, who retired a year ago. They were bulletin board pals, or whatever you'd like to call it, and did a lot of work there. So she was already in the district doing things, and then got started at Parkside. Was there for about 7 years, and has been at Gladiola the last 17. And you know, Sue's kind of a interesting individual, because she's that first line of defense at Gladiola. When you walk in the door, that's who the ultimate meet and greet is. And we could not have or have had a better person there to be the first one to meet parents, to be the first one to meet students. And that's always something that's very important, because you never know what's going to walk in the door, like you folks know, as far as what kind of a day a student's having, what kind of a day a parent's having, or the student and the parent when they come walking in the door delivering the kid and they're already arguing and upset. So really appreciate having that person there, that nurturing, mothering type of person. To give you a little insight as the type of person Sue is, I'm going to quote her from an email, and it says a lot about the type of person, how much she cares about students, as all of us do that are working in this field. And we get some tie-dyed shirts, and it was important that we are members of our family and our community at Gladiola. And she says, I got this tie-dye shirt, and I wear mine proudly outside of school. I'll wear it on Tuesdays, and I'm going to come and visit. So she's already committed to doing those things. And Bob is right there, who she gets to have the opportunity of spending more time with. So be good to her, Bob. And then in that email, she says, I consider myself part of the Gladiola family forever, exclamation point. And this is sent to all staff now. This is an email just responding, and this is the type of person that Sue was to charge up the staff. She says, you will always have a piece of my heart. Believe it or not, retiring when you love your job and your coworkers is very, very difficult. Change is hard. And so it's that transition to the next part that Sue is getting to do. It's going to be exciting. But I'm forever grateful for this job, working with all these kids and staff for 17 years, referring to Gladiola because she's been in our district for 24. A lot of changes have come and gone. It's just part of life, and I know that. And we cannot thank Sue enough for the constant giving that she does to and for our school district. She and Bob are both graduates of Grants Pass High School. Her children, her 3 children, graduates of Grants Pass School District number 7. And she has her grandkids, attending School District number 7. And so very, very fortunate to have a family like this that is in our community, having the kids in our schools, and the way that Sue has given back over the years. And Sue, I cannot tell you enough how you have made my transition to Gladiola so welcoming and keeping me on the straight and narrow. Sue's desk is right outside my door, and so she would just have to look and make sure that she was keeping me in line all the time. And so, Sue, again, thank you for your commitment. Thank you for the extra time you would always put in and wouldn't think twice about it, and taking care of each and every one of us individually. So enjoy your retirement as much as you can with Bob. I know, that's what it is in knowing Bob, but they got themselves a new 5th wheel. They're going to start doing some more traveling, and they're very, very excited about that. So kudos to you. Go Gladiola for Sue. Thank you, Sue.
All right. Thank you, Mr. Marvelous. Ryan Thompson, you are up.
All right. First off, thank you to Michael Atondo and Brian Harbolt, 2 of our hardworking custodians who both retired earlier this year. Had a lot of pride in their jobs and worked very hard for Grants Pass High School. Thank you both, Brian and Michael. Next up, Fran Maurer. Fran was the first teaching hire I made when I was at the high school, came up to the high school. She taught 9 years at Grants Pass High and 16 years in education. I always saw Fran as someone who, she was always researched, and she stayed at the top of her game in terms of what was going on in the English language arts world and what to be aware of. She has a great spirit about her too. If you've seen some of our leadership announcement videos, she is willing to jump in and play a video game with a teacher 30, 40 years younger than her, and just laughs. I love her laugh. Fran's always so positive and kid-centered. So congratulations, Fran Maurer. Next, we're going to go with Jeannie Kenyon. Jeannie is on here right now. And Jeannie, what a privilege she had. She started our health science program at Grants Pass High School 22 years ago, and really saw that. I see my computer's going to restart in 56 seconds. Uh-oh, better get rid of that. Please stop. Don't do that. Don't do that. Remind me tomorrow. There we go. Okay.
Hi, Ryan.
So on Jeannie, what a privilege to be able to do that. Our program is a model for the state. It truly is. We have people that come and visit, there are people that call, that ask questions about our health science program. And we have so many employed former students that are now nurses and lab techs and even some doctors and EMTs and on down the line because of the work Jeannie put in. And literally, she can say that we have had many lives saved as a result of the classes she has taught. Some of those have come before the board before. We've had board reports of people that have literally saved lives. And that's just from our emergency care class that several hundred students take each year. It's our most popular class on campus that is not a required course. So Jeannie, just so many great things to say. Really, really proud of the work you've done for our community and setting a high standard. We now have 2 health science teachers as a result of the program growing, and just couldn't be prouder of the work you've done, and so happy to count you as a colleague and just wish you the very best in retirement, Jeannie. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Next up, we're going to go with Lana Lowe. Lana is with her husband, James, tonight. We got a tag team there. They're waving and giving thumbs up to the camera. Lana first started substituting in 2002 as an educational assistant, and then soon got hired, and she has carried a couple of roles. She was a detention supervisor for a period of time. She is always, and she's also been in our front office for a bulk of her time. She is willing to do whatever she is asked to do, and she does it with excellence and very high standards. And she has helped a number of our administrators, a number of our deans, a number of our teaching staff with whatever they need, and is not afraid to make suggestions. And when she does, her ideas are better than ours. She really, really just has a knack for getting things done, and we know we can count on her for whatever it is. I love you lots, Lana, and I wish you the very, very best. You're a smart person that will do very well in retirement and have a lot to offer our world. So thank you, thank you. Next up, we're going to go with Sean Golden. He taught 25 years at Grants Pass High School in our English department. He taught college writing, satire and comedy, wilderness adventure writing. He was always willing to teach summer school and after school. And I know had a very good relationship with RCC in terms of us getting some of our classes off the ground and for college credit. So kudos to Sean. Colleen Moore, 28 years at Grants Pass High School. If you were around Grants Pass High School 28 years ago, 25 years ago, you would hear her voice over the intercom. She was our most prevalent voice in making announcements. So you could hear her voice around the neighborhoods for probably a mile or so away. And that was one way you might know Colleen. But the work she has done since then, the job that she holds right now, she's essentially developed that job. It became a job because of the work she's done and the passion and heart she has. And that is, she serves kids, and she has helped hundreds and hundreds of students navigate the waters of trying to get to college and find the confidence to apply to college and find the confidence to apply for financial aid and scholarships and be able to work through that process. And she has just touched so many lives as a result of that. She did a lot of different things when she first got started. She oversaw concessions. She was our fall and winter ticket supervisor. So she would get all those tickets distributed and so forth. I forgot to also mention, manages the subs, not just for our school, but even the district. She knows all, and I know you think, okay, you get a sub for somebody, big deal. It is a big deal. We have teachers that call in, at 6:30 in the morning, at 5:30 in the morning, at 7 o'clock at night, at 10 o'clock at night. And I know we've changed sub management systems through the years. Colleen is a sub management system. She should be writing the book and telling people how it's done, because she knows how to do it. She's had to wheel and deal with subs to try and get it to take a half day for us, and she'll give them some full days later on if they can just fill in short notice. So many roles she's played through the years. Thank you, Colleen. Love you lots, and wish you very well in retirement. You have earned it. All right, next up we have Sean Gross. Sean Gross has taught for 34 years, 26 of them in Grants Pass, at Grants Pass High School. He's been a math department leader. He was a former head girls basketball coach 20 some years ago. He was assistant girls basketball coach as well. Sean has been our Key Club advisor, and he really grew our Key Club this year, or last couple of years. It's grown from 10, 15, 20 kids to 30, 40 plus kids. And Key Club, if you know, they serve. That's what they do. They do community service, and he's got kids bought into that. And even during pandemic, they were out and about with masks on and volunteering wherever they could find work to do. So kudos to Sean for that. Sean kept our clock for football. So I'm up in the announcer's booth, and anytime I saw him, I'd knock on the window and let him know. But usually he was just methodically plugging away the numbers and getting the timeouts input and so forth. So Sean also has done whatever he has been asked of him. All of his boys have been Grants Pass High School graduates, as have many of our retirees who've had Grants Pass High graduates themselves. And anyway, very, very indebted, Sean. You've worked very hard. I'm sure you have some articles you would like to share with us on the benefits of retiring at your age, because Sean doesn't do anything unless it's very well thought out and researched, and he's read at least 4 or 5 articles to back his decision. So Sean, we look forward to reading articles from you, even in your retirement. And that does it for now. So very, very happy for all of our retirees, and wish you well. Thank you very much for your service.
Wonderful. Thank you, Mr. Thompson. And Tommy Blanchard, you are up next.
Great, thank you. We have 2 who are retiring here this year. The first is Ann Hawkert, who I do not believe is on here tonight, but I want to share some great things about Ann. She is wrapping up year 16 in our district, split between both South and North Middle School. Time spent in various EA positions at South, then became the detention supervisor, and most recently has been the counseling center secretary over here at North. I will tell you, she's one of the harder working individuals I know. She really struggles when there is not enough to do and is constantly seeking things out. She is a whiz at the computer and with technology. She is so organized and highly detailed that she has become one of the go-to people for me over here. And whenever something needs to be done, it's just a little bit of information to Anne, and it is done really well and has saved a bunch of us a bunch of time here at the school. And it's been especially helpful this year with all the craziness that we have going on. She is going to be really, really tough to replace. We have some good replacements from within, but you don't replace an Anne. She's not only going to be missed by me, but my wife used to work, one of her first jobs was at Dutch Brothers, and Annie still knows what Anne's favorite drink was, and they have a good relationship there. We are going to miss her, but she is going to be enjoying her time. She is not just an employee of the district, but she has been a Grants Pass mother. She's going to give attention to her older boys now. She is going to enjoy bike riding with friends. And she has told us that her backyard will be magazine worthy in the next couple of years. So thank you, Anne, for all that you have done. You are going to be very missed here at North Middle School. The second one is Shirley Albertson, who will be completing year 30. You know, you've been here a long time when your start date is begins with 1/9 and not 2000 something. Shirley has been amazing. She has done a number of things in our district. She has spent majority of her time as either a language arts teacher or more recently as a computers teacher. And in all my time here, she has been a computers teacher. She has been a PLC of 1. She has had to do things often on her own to come up and create curriculum. She is always willing to attend conferences and want to provide more and better for kids. I am always going to appreciate the honest conversations. When Robbie had mentioned that he can get that from Julie, I know that Shirley has no problem telling us the good and the bad that is going on. And some may laugh at that, but I appreciate that Shirley can tell us, you know, what's going on at the school and how we can make things better. It's certainly appreciated, and I'm going to miss the emails that she sends that are informative, but Shirley has also been known to send a number of really nice emails in rough times over here. And I have not told her how much I appreciated those, but I'm telling her now how much I appreciate those. She has been a breath of fresh air in a challenging time. Some memories of her that don't really have a whole lot to do with school, but I want to share just a few quick ones. That whenever I hear our bells go off, whether it be on a vacation or in the summer, I know that I'm probably going to be hearing from Shirley because she lives so close that she'll remind me that she does not want to be hearing those bells. Well, Shirley, you'll be hearing those bells now because you live so close, but I hope you're able to enjoy them with your feet up and a cup of coffee and smile and know that you don't have to get up so early and come to school. The other thing that I would like to share is I'm real happy that correct me if I'm wrong, Shirley, but I think that your last actual class today, my youngest Molly got to experience that. So I'm thankful for all that you've done here. I'm thankful that Molly was able to end her 6th grade year in your class. You have lasting friendships here. I do hope that you'll come back and sub and swing by and visit. And if it's not to sub, I know I see you walking around the school often, and I hope you swing by and say hello. So I know you're going to enjoy the time with your kids and being a grandmother and out and about and camping. Surely you'll be missed and loved, and I wish you well and the best in retirement.
All right. Thank you, Tommy. Barrett Sale, you were up.
Hey, I get to talk about 2 pretty amazing people. One of them is Cindy Long, one of our food service and nutrition staff. Cindy's been in the district for 20 years, and I think she's actually out hiking with her hiking group right now. So I'll just say a quick word about her. She is a very resilient person. being a food service and nutrition assistant manager for us at South the past few years. She has a really tough job. Kids, they're on their break during lunchtime, and she typically does not get the most well-mannered and well-behaved students, and she keeps a pretty good demeanor about her. Testament to her resiliency is that a few years ago, she was going through cancer treatments and chemo treatments and that kind of stuff, and still showed up to work almost every single day. And I think that just showed kids, here's how you grit through things, and here's how you get through life with a really good attitude. So just want to thank Cindy for the work that she's done in District 7 and at South Middle School. And then the second person I get to honor is Miss K, Ronnie Kendrick. She's been working for the district for 26 years, and all of them at South Middle School. And not only that, but Miss K was a part of the first class that went through South Middle School back when it was called a junior high. That was back in 1958. So she was a junior high kiddo way back then. She went on to Grants Pass High, graduated at Caveman and RCC. She got degrees in English and psychology. She loves to swim, has probably taught a lot of us in the meeting how to swim, or at least your kids. We've been so glad and fortunate to have Ronnie as part of our team. The past 3 decades serving thousands, literally thousands of kids and advocating for students that are served in special education. A few years ago, she got a nickname from one of our students, Macaroni, that stuck. And so our staff endearingly refers to her as either Miss K or Macaroni. She's probably most going to be remembered with her commitment not only to students that are served in special education, but with our annual talent show, the Trojan Follies. She's done a wonderful job being the lead person for our backdrops and set design. And then this year we got to honor her in our Trojan Follies. If you haven't checked that out, want to click that link that I sent out last week or Facebook page. The first 6 or 7 minutes are dedicated to her. We watched that as a staff at the end of last week, and there were a lot of tears in the room just knowing how much of an impact that Ronnie has had on our staff and the thousands of kids that she's served. She's had a lot of great teachers in the past and currently serves with 2 great ones with Miss Pell and Miss Hanson. But she listed the favorite teacher that she has ever worked with was a young Mr. Kurt Kolb, because he reminded her of her son. And so I hope that's a good thing, Kirk, but she likes you. She really likes you. Miss Ronnie, and awesome. We wish her the best.
Awesome.
That's hilarious.
Thank you, Mr. Sale. Jeremy Carnes, your turn.
All right, so I get to talk about Wally. In his 21 years, I only got to spend a very short time with him. He was our split shift custodian / maintenance. He did an amazing job of letting us know when he was going to be on our side, helping out clean up our area and take care of our things. He stepped into a not so nice little closet, and he took care of that, made it so that it was a little more maintainable. He helped us implement a new way of giving notifications to our drivers, which has been used daily since then. Shortly after all of this, he came up with an unfortunate thing health-wise. He's been battling that, and I don't know if anybody's seen him recently, but he's a much smaller version of himself. We wish him the best and hope that he can actually come through with this in the long run.
Great, thank you. Thank you, Jeremy. Trisha Evans, you are up.
I get the distinct pleasure of talking about somebody we all know and love. If you're with me out there in Zoom land, can I get one more Kelly for the record?
Kelly.
That's what I'm talking. That's what I'm talking about. Mr. Marvel was not thrilled that I was going to be talking about him tonight when I gave him a call, but I told him he had to stay online and he had to listen to his wonderful career of 34 years in education and what it has meant to all of us to know and work with him. Kelly came to us from Klamath Falls, about 28 years in District 7, 34 years in total. While in District 7, he was a math teacher, dean of students. He was the assistant principal at both South Middle School and Grants Pass High School. And since 2013, he has been our fearless leader at our Gladiola campus. What an amazing job and career working with some of our most at-risk youth. I know that I'm going to miss the daily, we talk daily, phone calls, mostly about kids and what he can do to help and support. He's always advocating for kids. Not only did he do it in the classroom and as an administrator, but he has been a coach in District 7, football, wrestling, and I learned that he also coached baseball with Stacy Morgan. And he was a leadership advisor for a couple of years. So he's done a lot of things for us. I asked him, what's he going to miss most about Grants Pass School District? And he said, the people and the relationships. What he's not going to miss are the piles of paperwork that can drive you freaking nuts. His laughter, his passion for kids is unmatched as far as I'm concerned. And I'm going to steal some words from Clay Rounsaville because I think it captures it pretty well for all of us in the world of administration who have had the pleasure of working with him. Clay said, I am so proud to have been able to work with him for so many years, and I'm most proud to be able to call him my friend. He will be missed more than all of us know. Kelly Marble, we love you to pieces, buddy. Congratulations.
Thank you, Tricia. Absolutely. Mr. Marvelous. Love you, man. All right, Sherry Ely, you are up next.
Hello, everyone. It is my pleasure to say a few words about James Lowe. I will tell you, I'm not happy about it. James has been with our district for 10 years, and he has been invaluable to me. He has an amazing amount of energy. He has amazing connections in the community. His knowledge and dedication to the district are second to none. He loves the students in Grants Pass and has done as much for the students as he has for us from a facilities perspective in the district. He really values our kids and wants to make their lives easier when he can. He has helped us accomplish so many projects in the district, and without him, they would not have been as successful as what they have been. I am going to miss him so much. He's made my job so much easier. But more than anything, I'm going to miss his friendship and support. When I'm having a super rough day, I always know I can talk to James and he listens without judgment, and he always has that wise listening ear, and I really appreciate that. So James, I'm going to miss you a ton. I know you know that. We all love you so very much and hope that you and Lana have just a great time in your retirement. So thank you so much.
Wonderful. True words, Sherry, true words. And finally, rounding out for tonight, we have Superintendent Kolb.
Yes, last but not least, I just want to say a few words about Linda White and the impact that she's had on our district as a whole. There's always difficult families, difficult kids, and the never give up on kids piece. The role model she has been for us in that, and helping many of us to keep our chins up and stick with the kid and stick with the plan and stick with the program. I had several emails over the last 2 weeks from a parent who believed their child would never experience school normally because of their unique needs and abilities and inabilities. And this parent has been in tears multiple times because they've seen their child transform, and she credits Linda for never giving up and just exhausting all possibilities and ways and means. And so I pass those emails along to Linda, but that's just an example of what she does for every kid in every situation. So prior to Linda coming to District 7, she's been with District 7 for only 3 years, but its impact has felt so much more and will be lasting in many ways. She was middle school principal of the year prior to coming here, which is a testament to her leadership. And if I can speak about anything, it's her leadership and how she's made every single principal better, every single teacher she works with better, and and every single director and myself a better administrator, better thinker, etc. Infectious sense of humor. Our district office meetings just will not be the same without her booming laugh and voice. And I will never get into an argument on the difference between a slope and an exponential function. I got those clearly pointed out to me the other day. She was an advanced math teacher as well, so I never challenged her on any of that. But I can't emphasize enough her level of leadership and how much better she has made us, to the point that I have asked her, and we came up with a way to support ongoing for our district leadership, and have asked Linda to sign a contract for partial year next year to be a leadership coach for us, and working with individual building principals and their unique needs, whether it's school culture and climate, whether it's evaluation and feedback for teachers. She makes it look like an art form. And so we don't have to say goodbye to Linda, but we can say thank you, and you have contributed to us in so many ways. And I hope you recognize that we are better because of you. So thank you, Linda.
All right, and that wraps up all of our retirements to be presented tonight.
Well, thank you. I'm sure I speak for the board in expressing our appreciation to each of you and for what you've done for the district. We wish you the best as you move on to retirement and hopefully greener pastures. So thank you very much. Our next item on the agenda is 4.1.3, our stats textbook recommendations. So Director Evans, we'll turn it over to you.
Yeah, with Sean Gross retiring, we will have a new stats teacher next year. Tyler Cheek is with us tonight, and we are running kind of a different process. This is a class of not a whole lot of kids, and so we need to get a new textbook for Tyler in place for next year. My hope today is after you listen to Tyler, you have the book, should be there in the boardroom for you to review. And at our next board meeting in June, I'm going to ask you to take formal action to adopt the book. We'll leave the book available at the district office for the public if anybody wants to look at it. But Tyler is here today to explain to you a little bit more about why he is choosing this particular stats book. Tyler?
Right. Thank you, Director Evans. Hello, everybody. So yeah, the current book that we're using for stats is called Statistics Through Applications. It's the second edition, and it is a really good book. It's designed specifically for high school students, and it covers all the stats that they would need for any application post-high school. The only problem being is, of course, this was published in 2009, so it's well over 10 years old at this point. And one of the unique things about statistics is it needs to be up to date. Statistics evolves with the technology in place, and technology's come a long way in 10 years. So this book is somewhat outdated in that some of the methods that it uses inside of it won't align with what would be happening in the classroom. And along with being outdated is also its data. So we always want math to be super engaging, and we want students to be able to see how is this relevant in life? And being a 10-year-old book, a lot of that data no longer is applicable. I was looking through the old textbook and saw they were using data from the 1990 census, so not super pertinent to a lot of student lives. So it's a really good text. Like I said, it's designed specifically for high schoolers, and it's aligned pretty well with AP stats stuff. So, you know, if anybody's ever teaching both at once, it would be nice and aligned. So what I'm recommending is that we just adopt the newest edition of this text. It went through a rename, so it's now called Statistics and Probability with Applications. It changed names in the third edition, but I am recommending the fourth edition because it has up-to-date technology, and it also has been restructured to align with modern day stats and how people use it in general. And it also boasts a lot of digital resources. One thing we learned this year in math is that having those online and digital environments is so important. And the fourth edition of this book has a Sapling Plus license that comes with it, which includes so many problems that students can do with immediate feedback while they're not in the classroom or even in the classroom, because stats does need a lot of practice and things like that. So I'm suggesting that we update the book and get that Sapling Plus license so students can achieve as much as they can, and it's aligned with, you know, real world stats and what they would see.
Thank you, Tyler. Any questions from the board about the textbook? Okay.
We're all looking at Gary,
Yeah,
but he's not saying anything, so I think we're all good.
we can move the microphone closer.
All right, very good. Thank you, Tyler. All right, our next item is 4.1.4, our district SIA plan. So Director Evans.
Yeah, we wanted to bring our SIA process for the year to a close with you today. You've been a part of budget committee meetings. We've updated you a couple of different times on the student investment account and what we need to do in order to get prepared for the next 2 years of the grant cycle. In your packet tonight are really probably the two most key updated things. We developed our plan last year, and with the year of COVID, haven't really been able to implement everything that we had set out to do. With the new allocation, a much increased allocation, we're going to be able to achieve a lot more. So the page that's on the screen right now is our updated strategies. We are being required by Oregon Department of Ed to write those as a theory of action. So they're the same goals that we had in there. They're just written in a little bit different format. Really making sure that our activities that you'll see on the next page are aligned to those strategies. Here's some, and it's kind of crooked, but that's okay. It's in your packet. You can see it the straight way. There you go. So we have there's really nothing new on this list that wasn't part of the original plan. As you'll see, this year we only got $1.5 million, and next year we're slotted to get about $4 million, and in the subsequent year, 4.1 million. So much increased funding that will be able to accomplish some of the goals that we set out prior to this school year. The one thing that's different on here is the HVAC system upgrade we've talked about. We're going to be using a couple of different funds to get that system upgraded. It does fit very nicely into the student investment account. So we're looking for some board action tonight so that we can submit our updated revisions for the next 2-year biennium. Any questions related to SIA?
Go ahead, Brian.
Yeah, thanks, Trish. This is Member DeLagrange. Just getting clarity on a few of these. I know we've already been over them, but on line 7, the Equity, Diversity, Inclusion Coordinator, I know we've had an existing staff person step into that role. So just inquiring as far as why we need additional funding going to that, or where the funding from his position that he had previously is going to.
Is that a different?
So I'll attempt to answer. Sherry or Trish, you can jump in. So really, his prior funding, I believe he was primarily general fund previously. So essentially those funds will go back to the general fund. And so because this was part of our original plan, we can reallocate these grant funds to pay for a portion of his salary. And so because we are making a significant investment, and if you see how Todd is spending his time already, it's considerable in terms of the resources he's obtaining, the connections he's building with others, the parents and families he's engaging. So we were essentially funding part of his salary now out of the SIA to be very intentional, because we're basically held to show that this is working for us because of the investment.
So to restate, nobody new's being hired. We're just fussing with the funding.
Yes. So we're just essentially taking, we're funding a staff member with SIA funds that was funded with general fund dollars.
Yes.
Okay.
So now we have more in the general fund.
Sherry might be able to speak if Todd's prior role was funded anything else other than general fund.
No, Todd's salary before as the technology director and the student improvement, I forget the second title that he had, but those were funded out of the general fund. And so this is a new position that is being funded out of SIA. And so we have 0.75 for the equity, diversity, inclusion portion of that. And then he still will be maintaining a portion of his work in the technology department. And so the 0.25 is still coming out of the general fund. And so where the funding goes when we have an existing person who changes positions, that just rolls into the regular funding that is available for other projects that we're doing in the general fund. And so it's not like it's a specific, we're going to take, 0.75 of Todd's salary and allocate it toward XYZ. It just becomes part of the pot of money that then we allocate out over all of the other projects that are paid for out of the general fund.
Correct me if I'm wrong, Sherry, but some of the restructuring we're doing in the technology department, it'll offset those costs as well. So essentially, we're shifting away, or we're restructuring the technology department so Todd doesn't have such a large role in it as he does now.
Yes, that is correct.
Can we go over what the expectations of that type of coordinator is?
I will send the board the job description that we put together and posted. It's pretty extensive. So, so Todd, if you'll remind me, Todd and Danny, remind me, and we'll get that to the board tomorrow. If any members of the public would also have a copy of that job description, please contact Tanya Doan.
Yep, happy to do that.
Yeah, thank you. I had a few more questions. Line 16, it has listed a project manager for about 157,000 a year, and I was just hoping to maybe get refreshed on exactly what that program manager was.
Part of that was being intentional about getting the data we need. So it's a program manager, essentially a technology person, and we found our purple cow, I guess you might say, Gary.
Nice.
Of what we really wanted, and somebody who's working out incredibly well. So we're able to access data now, disaggregate it much better. The programming skill set in our department has risen tremendously. And so ODE said that was a reasonable justification because we can use it now to really identify populations and needs based on data and stuff. So,
Okay, so that's part of the IT restructuring thing?
That was in here prior to the decision to move Todd. So that was in here, yeah.
Okay.
Yep.
Cool. And then line 21, remove class fees from courses at the high school. I think that's fantastic. And my only question is, at the middle schools, do we have any class fees?
I don't believe we have any class fees at the middle school. Trish, you can comment on that.
We do have, we will be paying for all PE clothes next year at middle school and high school. There are no other course fees besides PE clothes at the middle school. And then at the high school, removing all the course fees. There will still be project fees. So in some of our classes, there's class fees when you have like nuts and bolts that you need for your wood shop. But when a student goes to build a project and they get to pick between the 4 different types of wood that Dave Brannon has to offer, the student will have some project fees because we want them to take ownership of what they're building in the class. There will be part of the dollars in SIA will be a scholarship fund as well, so that students who can't pay for their project fees can access those funds as well. So we have a couple of different mechanisms built into that line.
Do students pay for the GED test?
They do not pay for GED. We pay for that.
Great. And in that same vein, on the next line, reduce pay-to-play fees for extracurricular activities. I know we've had some discussions about whether to reduce or eliminate those. And so I see it says reduce. And so I'm wondering if we have a percentage it's being reduced, is it being reduced across the board or selectively?
Yeah, across the board. We are reducing high school fees to $75 a sport from $150, and reducing middle school from $75 to $35. Again, really getting input from the various groups to reduce it by half. We're also reducing our band fees, not quite by half, but a pretty substantial chunk of the band fees.
And for those activities, is there a similar scholarship type program for people that can't afford it?
Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
Awesome. Yeah, that's it for me. Thanks.
Debbie?
So line 18, purchase supplies, i.e. desk, computers, etc. for new programs, classes. And I have rarely seen a budget that didn't ask for more money for more computers, so I was surprised to see zero there.
So part of all this COVID relief money is we if you walk back to the tech department, and we have 2,000 new Chromebooks that are coming in. So we don't, they're slated for, I think, a 5-year cycle. And so we're in pretty good shape. Say that again, Todd?
Yeah, 6.5 years on those Chromebooks.
Okay, so we're sitting in pretty good shape for technology.
I wouldn't have noticed it very much, except that I just saw a program, in a club that Jorge Padilla and Kelly Moody did for the English language learners. And Jorge specifically mentioned needing some more Chromebooks for students who were not, it wasn't during regular school hours, so I just didn't know if there was a possibility of using some funds for that or not.
I think right now we're able to meet everyone's Chromebook needs, regardless of the ask at this point.
Okay. All right, thank you.
Gary?
So in 6.5 years, when they fully depreciated, what kind of sinking fund do we have to be able to replace them?
Depends on inflation, and the technology will be much more advanced at that point, so I can't answer that question fully.
But if we don't budget for that,
True,
in 6.5 years, because we got a giant amount.
that won't be there in 6.5 years.
Right. So anyway, let's plan for that.
So Todd, maybe you can address this. So we do build in annually for that. And so next year, we don't have to take as much out of the general fund because we have to figure out how to spend all of this COVID money. So we have a fund set up for the revolving cost. This year, we just won't have to include it. And I believe because of the length of the American Recovery Act, or whatever it's called, I think we have to extend funds by 2024. Sheriff, correct me if I'm wrong on any of that. As far as a sinking fund, we've been revolving out of the general fund, and we covered those costs.
Yeah, that's correct. So every year I budget for whatever Chromebooks are going off cycle. They have about a 6.5 life cycle. This year we have, so coming up in September, we'll have about 2,000 that will be coming expired. So we would normally just budget for that in this next budget cycle. However, given how difficult it was to get technology this past year, you might remember like we had to wait sometimes 6 months to get some of these Chromebooks for our kids. Our vendor was able to get a bunch of Chromebooks early. So we went ahead and purchased early and used those funds to do that. So this next year's budget doesn't reflect Chromebooks, so we purchased them out of this year's funds because we had them available. What that means is rather than waiting until November to get our Chromebooks in the fall when our kids need them in September, we now have them and they're being distributed out to the schools right now. So they'll be ready to go for September.
Okay, so the last one is, so I guess I need an update on where we are for air quality upgrades to all of our buildings. I mean, we had the big chunk that we were already doing before the COVID thing hit, but we still had 3 or 4 buildings that we were looking at doing upgrades for. So Sherry, where are we in that upgrade cycle?
We are actually in the planning phase of that. So we have additional work that's going to be done at Redwood, Lincoln, and Grants Pass High School to bring everybody up to the same standard that we're going to have at the older schools that we are doing the HVAC project on. So I submitted the request to ODE for funding of those projects out of either the ESSER 2 or ESSER 3 money, and we did get approval for that. So we're moving right ahead, marching right along, getting it done.
So will there be any facilities we have that don't have CO2 monitoring after you finish those upgrades?
No.
The high school.
Do we have air conditioning in the Peter Newman complex?
That is part of the process that we're working on. Yes, that's in the plan.
Okay. Thank you.
Yep.
I have a question.
Yes.
Mine's just referring to the line 19 for summer school offerings and just seeing if the funding that we're budgeting going forward means that we're trying to replicate what we're doing this summer in future summers, or is this a kind of a one-time response to kind of COVID and the year that we had? What's the thought there?
Yeah, I think ideally this is going to evolve.
Okay.
What we're doing now is awesome, and we want to be able to at least continue what we're doing.
Mm-hmm.
But we'll see what the evolution of summer might be with more time to plan.
Sure.
And so ideally, we'll be able to do more.
Okay.
And we have a normal year and staff aren't spent and willing to spend parts of their summer. That would be the ideal. So.
And air conditioning.
And air conditioning.
So I guess part of what prompted my question was the HVAC system upgrade.
Right.
But Sherry said that's coming out of different funds. So why is it on this list?
We were given approval to use these funds to help with the debt service of the money that we borrowed.
Okay.
In addition to the ESSER fund. Is that accurate, Sherry?
Yes, that's accurate. Before we even knew we had the ESSER funds, that was when we took out the loan to do the big project, right? The $15 million for all the older elementary schools and the 2 middle schools. And so part of our planning when we were looking at how to service the debt for that was to use the SIA funding for that, because that's one of the stated reasons or uses that were approved up front for SIA funding. The state knows that a lot of our schools are suffering from poor air quality, but to mitigate that, it's an expensive ask. And so before we even had COVID was an issue, the state was already saying that we could use SIA funding to help with any kind of HVAC upgrades.
The irony in that is Southern Oregon superintendent's meeting, and this board was wise and said, go borrow the money, let's get these projects going. Then COVID hit, then the ESSER money hit. All of the other school districts want to do the level of what we're doing, but there isn't enough contractors to do all of that, and you have to expend the funds in a certain amount of time. So everybody else is scrambling, and we are feeling very good about the position we're in to accomplish these projects. Kudos to the board.
Yay, us.
Put that one on the list.
I believe that there was one question, Todd.
On the positive side.
Zoom world, you want to bring that one up?
Yes, that's correct. So JL Hansen, if you're ready to go, you have 3 minutes to share with the board this topic. And I'll have a timer go off at about 2:30, so you'll know you have about 30 seconds left.
Hi, everybody. Can you guys hear me?
We can.
Yes.
Okay, so I just wanted to come on and first of all, just express such gratefulness for this funding that we have that I've already seen impacting students that really need it, you know, with the behavior specialists helping and supporting teachers, with expanding our homeless outreach with being able to have more resources for special education students and additional technology. I mean, I'm going to be super glad when my room has HVAC. That's not just a little thing in the window that works in the morning when the outside air comes in. I'm very pleased with how you've put together the budget, but I did have a couple of questions related to some topics that have come up in the last few months and how those topics are going to be addressed in district funding, if through SAA dollars or if through other funding. There's a line 23 on here says that there's going to be some professional development related to mental health, behavioral health, and math and language arts support. But there's been a lot of talk in the community, in schools, among teachers, among parents, about additional training needs for addressing how staff can reduce the disparities for racial minorities, language learners, and our LGBTQA plus students. And I'm just wondering if that fits into these dollars, if it's being considered for these dollars, or if the board is allocating other funds for professional development in those areas.
So I would answer that question with yes, JL, it is in here. So we just spoke a little bit about Todd's role and the shift in that. And part of that is professional development around equity, diversity, and inclusion to address the disparities in the groups that you mentioned. So Todd's being very intentional, and we're looking at a calendar of aligning some professional development specifically in those areas. As in addition to what you see regarding mental and behavioral health, as well as math and language arts. So yes, we're being very intentional about that. And if you'll remind me, shoot me an email and make sure you get a job description of what we are essentially trying to accomplish. And it does include professional development.
All right, and one other question that I had is, are those professional developments going to be required professional developments or optional?
Most of it will be required and just built into what we do.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Joelle. And that's all I have for questions on this particular item.
Well, I think no other comments or questions. We'll move on to our next agenda item, 4.1.5, our sound system update. So Todd, we'll turn the time over to you. You can hear us. If you can, that means the sound system is great.
Could you say that again? I didn't quite get that. It was so simple.
Great.
What I'm going to do actually is put in the chat for everybody, just because we're trying out some new equipment. And the big thing last time was about the sound. And so sound is a really big deal in terms of being able to hear what's being said. So I've got a link I'm going to post out there. And by the end of the meeting, I'll be able to share with you from those folks that are online today in this particular board meeting, how is the sound coming across to you? That's what we want to know. So if you've been here in the past, how is this compared to sound in the past? And then how has it been tonight in terms of being able to hear everybody, particularly the people that are in the boardroom? That's in particular, because that's what folks were concerned about zooming in. They couldn't hear board members talking. So we've got brand new microphones in there. You'll see that there is this new camera in there, and I'm actually managing about 7 screens. I apologize if I'm bouncing my face around, but I'm moving the camera to try to track board members so they can be better seen as well. We have another camera on the way that is part of the system. That's a very creative and ingenious camera that actually will track whoever's talking in the room and will just basically move to that particular speaker more quickly. Right now, I'm just doing it manually. But that's on back order. That's part of one of those things that we're in the worldwide dilemmas of getting parts for different things. So it's about a 3-month back order. So the video will improve over time as well, but already it's a much more sophisticated camera. So in the chat, if you would just click on that link and tell me how is the sound quality in particular, and if you've been to meetings past, in particular, how is it in relation to past meetings? And then at the end of the meeting, I'll let you know how the sound is and how does that work for you.
Thanks, Todd.
All right, thank you. All right, 4.1.6, donation from Toyota. So Mr. Sale, we'll turn the time over to you.
Hey, so I'll rewind just a little bit. We've been trying to revamp and redevelop our Parent Teacher Student Association, or PTSA at South, for the past couple years. It's really easy for parents to get involved with their kids' elementary school, and progressively a little bit harder as they progress through. I don't know many middle school or high school kids that want their parent sitting in class with them, helping the teacher out with different activities. One of the things that our PTSA developed this year, went out for and started a corporate sponsorship, really similar to what the Booster Club does at the high school, just to get some different signage within our gym and athletic spaces, and get some community involvement increased with different levels of sponsorship. Was approached about probably a few weeks ago, maybe a month ago, by Brad Myerchin, who is with Grants Pass Toyota, with something that he's done with the Josephine County Fairgrounds the last few years. I think every year Toyota gives to local dealerships as part of some of their money to give to local dealerships to increase advertisements around community and just to give back to community organizations. At the Josephine County Fairgrounds, if you drive by, Brad was the one that was able to help pay for the reader board that's out on Redwood Highway. And then in the little corner, it says Grants Pass Toyota. And then one of the buildings, I believe, at the Josephine County Fairgrounds is called the Toyota Building. That funding was done this year, and so he's looking to another community organization and wanting to give some of the money that he gets from Toyota National to District 7 and South Middle School. And so the first year of that is, I need help with all the actual language from Director Ely, needing to jump through some hoops with our business director with what that looks like and what that agreement is like. And so Ms. Ely wanted us to talk to that and approach the board if that would be something that we would want to consider. I believe Brad and Toyota are looking to gift South $20,000 this coming year. And then a commitment probably for the next 4 or 5 years for about $20,000 each year for some form of advertisement at South, whether that's down on the football, soccer field, or if that's in the gymnasium. Something really similar to what we have with Mel Ingram and Evergreen that has helped out with that field and Dutch Bros. And so wanted to bring that to the board. Kirk and Sherry might be able to share a little bit more from that, but really honored and feel good with Mr. Myerchin from Grants Pass Toyota wanting to help out our local schools with giving back in some way.
The reason this is being brought to the board is there is a board policy regarding this, and so historically, for some board members and some board members may have recalled the conversations of the past, is the reservation by the board to just allow ad hoc marketing for donations to the district. And the history behind any marketing is the Booster Club essentially has been granted the ability to utilize the athletic facilities up here and their sales in the signage that exists around Mel Ingram and in Heater Newman, as well as up at the track, also known as the Evergreen Sports Complex, so the money from the Booster Club sales goes directly back to our athletic programs and really funds a lot of things. And so this is a similar, so to speak, with the donation to make improvements, with an agreement about what that looks like. And so if the board wants to consider that, this is definitely something that prior boards were very reserved about and cautious, but essentially supported what we have at Grants Pass High School and the mechanisms by which we do that. We have not done that otherwise.
Is Toyota interested in helping with a new middle school?
The South Middle School Forerunners.
Yes, we'll change.
20,000 a year for 5 years. That'll get us the driveway. We repaved a lot, so.
I thought it might be negotiable. I don't know.
So We did have, last time we did this, we had a formal agreement with Dutch Bros and Evergreen regarding what that looked like, and had legal counsel review that. So I guess before we proceed any further, wanted the board to have some discussion whether or not there might be consensus to move forward to review what those agreements might look like.
Has anything like this been done at the middle schools before or just at the high school?
We have not had this at the middle schools. To my knowledge, Sherry, we have not had anything like this at the middle schools.
No,
we had
haven't.
by Pepsi one year. Does that ring bells?
Well, we've had agreements with Pepsi and then subsequently with Coke, but that's a completely different donation process, and we don't get a lot from that. And they didn't ask to have the advertising like what Toyota is asking for with this donation, that they're wanting to do an annual donation.
Do we have ideas?
Are the expenses going towards like a physical asset, or is it towards services that?
It would be physical assets to the building. Barrett, I don't know if you have a plan of what you would target in terms of improvements put together yet, or you're waiting for this consideration, but it's my understanding that it would be improving the physical assets of South Middle School.
Yeah, I call it my wish list, my grand wish list at South with our old building that we have. One of the first things that we'd like to do, and one of those with our PTSA, we've raised about $15,000 in the last couple months, just through our little sponsorship stuff that we've been doing, is refinishing the gym floor. If you've been to Grants Pass High, and both the main gym floor and the upper gym have been refinished the last few years, and we'd like to do something similar at South. New bleachers, because the ones that are currently at South are non-aesthetically pleasing, and they also make me pull my back every time that I try to pull them out from the wall. And so it'd be nice to get some good a good bleacher system in the gym as well.
I'm torn. I think it's good to, accept donations, obviously, but, opening the door for advertising and that into the school at a younger level than the high school, I'm not sure how I feel about that. So I'm kind of split.
So would you like to summarize past discussion?
Go ahead. She'll correct you. You start, she'll correct you.
The positions go from free stuff, let's take it, to essentially our kids aren't for sale and shouldn't be exposed to that marketing. And so where we landed is some sort of compromise that you've seen so far, which is very formal agreements that the board's aware of, primarily at the high school.
I guess the only thing on a personal level, I know at graduation, I looked at all those advertisers and go, no, I still have mixed feelings about, all the advertising that is there. So I am wishy-washy on this subject.
So you can put me firmly in the camp of zero advertising. We don't want the stuff.
Why?
Well, a school is not a place to advertise to kids or parents for that matter. It's, for learning. So.
That camera zoomed in on you so fast. Did you see that?
Todd's on it.
So are we making a decision about this? Is this coming to the board because we need to vote on this? Or is this?
We were looking for consensus as to whether or not to pursue this based on the history and philosophies that vary and have varied. Obviously with Mel Ingram and having $500,000 donated to replace the turf and replace the scoreboards were significant and not something that the district necessarily had available in capital projects.
So was that a conscious decision to keep it only in the athletics department?
Yes.
What I remember from it too is that we were very deliberate on the size and the positioning on the scoreboard, and it had to be very limited. The reason why I asked about the hard assets is I think it's, you know, if anything, I think being open to it like we were there is because we're community members and students are going to enjoy the field for years and years and years. And so it's not just something that gets spent and then you don't really see it or feel it. But I do remember as part of those discussions that the athletic facilities, partially because it's being used by both kids and parents, we were kind of okay with a subdued, smaller, limited version. I am concerned about the age which we're allowing that, but at the, you know, if we could find, I don't want to not allow kids to have new gym floors and bleachers that they will benefit from as well. So I'm equally wishy-washy because I don't want to not give that opportunity to the kids, but I don't like the idea of advertising that's not, you know, what the school format is for.
You bring up a good point that did have from previous conversation. The part about subdued is that the district did not turn loose of essentially approval of what this is going to look like.
Do we know what Toyota wants in return, really, or is that part of the conversation that we would need to have?
I don't think Brad is looking for anything huge in terms of any sort of Toyota logo. And so I'd like to explore that a little bit of what would that signage look like? Is it a banner? You know, that we regularly, our reader board at South Middle School was sponsored by Pepsi. I don't know if any of our 700 kids at South would be able to say, hey, one, do you know where the reader board is? I think they'd all say, yeah, at the front of the school. What's the logo that's on the reader board? I think it gets looked over so much, and that was something that was paid for, I think, by Pepsi way back when. So I don't think it's anything huge. I just know that Mr. Myerchin from Grants Pass Toyota wants to gift that money to South to do some good things. Because when approached by our South PTSA, we think we have awesome facilities and athletic facilities that are all of our students get to use in PE classes at the high school. It just kind of stinks sometimes when our elementary and middle school kids have to wait until they get to the high school to have a really good gym floor and other spaces like that for PE and athletic spaces.
I am all in favor of exploring and accepting the money if we can find a reasonable solution that everybody's fine with. But we live in an advertising world. I'm just looking around this room and I see things being advertised here. The kids have things on their shirts every day. I mean, that's just part of life. And if we can get a new gym floor, new bleachers, and it's really not anything that I think is over the top, I'm fine with that. And in fact, I'd call Ford and see how much they want to give to compete. And I would, you know, I think we have an opportunity to continue to improve the schools in such a way that we are not able to do otherwise. And I'm not for selling the kids or making them fully advertised, but you know, if they're not really looking for much and it's a small little thing, I would be very happy to look at that and see what we could do. So
given the wishy-washiness of this, we will pursue looking at what this agreement might look like and bring that back to the board after better understanding, you know, what Toyota is looking for in return. So, but we just wanted to put that on the board's radar for sure, given historical context.
My only concern would be putting it into things that long-term use, but possibly with a new school might be a waste of money.
That's not going to work.
Yeah. All right. Okay. We'll finish up that. We'll wait to hear more information, I guess, in the future. How about 4.2, our superintendent's report, school opening updates?
Yeah, so not a lot new to report. We had a statewide superintendent's meeting with ODE last week, and it was really more about continued information seeking. There was a survey that they asked every district to fill out regarding academic requirements to safety requirements to the variety of things regarding current and experienced COVID conditions, what next year might look like. We have been given reassurances that the distancing measure language would be considerably decreased, and we would not have 6 feet for eating, which means we could feed everybody at middle school and high school. So, I mean, we're on pace to start with our traditional schedule or regular schedules. And so that's what we're planning for. Masking is still really up in the air. And so the distancing language is dramatically reduced, and it used to be 3 feet to the extent possible, and now it's 3 feet. And the language, I forget the exact language, but they were intentional about reducing that to not feel the pressure. And I believe most things are going to come through as recommendations and not necessarily requirements, crossing our fingers on that. So that's nothing really new to report. They still are going to give us the first draft, which they don't anticipate to change much by the end of June, and then ultimately final guidance by the end of July, which is just too late. But so we're going to take what we have here in June and the information we have thus far planning forward.
All right. Any questions on that? All right. Other reports from board members? Debbie?
Well, I attended Gladiola and Grants Pass High School graduation ceremonies, and I truly find them one of the real perks of doing this job. Really, it's we have beautiful ceremonies with music and flowers and respect and dignity, and just looking in the eyes of those graduates, and you can see their hopes and fears and willingness to go forward. And I find it very inspirational, and a big thank you for doing this job, really, seeing them be so accomplished. And so I am grateful for all of the administration, teachers, volunteers, everybody who's touched their lives and made this possible.
It was a real bucket filler to see Gladiola and then to see the graduates out here. It was much needed at this point in the year. So, yeah, thank you.
I wanted to comment a little bit about the closing the school year. The highlights are out of sight. What came out of a pandemic reached new heights here at this high school. And in the celebration with the superintendent and the principal, extolling the virtues of this senior class, which has to be an extraordinary class, no matter how many valedictorians we name. It's extraordinary. I would love to have some kind of an average for all the class together. It might be one of the highest class averages ever that I can remember. And I don't know most of these students, but I don't expect to really. But I really want to celebrate with them. And it's almost like they were hit so hard this year with the pandemic that this was a real celebration Friday night that made Grants Pass look tremendous, I think, in the state of Oregon in what was done by the administration and the staff. And then the students responded. And I really didn't plan to hug anybody, but this big guy, big football player, grabbed me and I had no choice. And I mean, I loved it. I absolutely loved it. And I got some handshakes when I wanted bumps because principal was doing bumps, fist bumps. And I love the handshakes because it seems so normal. These students really need to be in the spotlight right now. They have worked so hard and in such a compact environment. And I'm still reading the program, trying to read all of it. It takes me a long time to read those programs, but they're loaded. How did the people who made up the program make the adjustments in time for the celebration after we were playing back and forth with how many valedictorians we should have? It's amazing how you did that. I don't know how you did that. You didn't have enough time to do that. And when I see that kind of celebration going on, I think we really need to commend those people who were in charge of that. So Kirk, Ryan, and our board, I know I loved the dress that Debbie brought to the graduation. I thought it was beautiful, caveman blue, and it just, that kind of a celebration with the students, they were giving it back to the staff and school board. And it's wonderful. So I just want to give you my personal opinion of what happened. And I'd like to celebrate that way every day if I had the energy. But it's a great way to kick off next year. I mean, you know, full speed ahead and then some, based on what we proved this year. So I want to thank everybody that was involved.
Thank you. Brian?
Yeah, I'll try to keep it brief. I do have 6 things though, so I apologize ahead of time. The first one is just an idea I had, and it's very simple, and I thought it might be cool if next school year the district made or had ordered all students belong shirt for every student in the district that was given to the student at the beginning of the year, just something to promote community and to kind of bring the student body together. So I just wanted to kind of float that idea to everybody. I know that's not a free thing. I know we would have to allocate funding to do that, but I think it's probably within our means to do so.
What if it said Toyota on the back?
GMC? Anyway, so just think about that. And then the second thing is we haven't, when we had our budget committee meetings, I know we had talked about reconvening the budget committee to have further discussions about how we wanted to allocate the money from the federal, I don't know what it's called, but
COVID money.
COVID money, call it the COVID money. Anyway, so I know in the budget committee meetings, we had discussed reconvening to, you know, kind of clarify or get better direction on where we were going to direct that funding. And so I was wondering if that's going to be happening before the end of June or what the.
No, that won't be happening before the end of the June. If I recall correctly, we have to go through an approval process on every concept that's been proposed. And so Sherry is working through that with ODE continuously. And so we'll bring back all the ideas that were proposed. We'll bring back that list of what we can and cannot do and what they will approve. So that's ongoing. We've got several that they said, yep, we can go ahead and move forward on those. And there's still others that they're considering it, but every district in the state is doing this right now, so they're not moving at the speed of light.
I see.
So I would anticipate that probably it would have to be late July, but possibly in August that we could reconvene and look at our list of projects. Each one of them requires a lot of pre-planning and contractors and architects and what have you. So we're going through a process right now with all the ideas that were proposed.
Okay, and ODE is doing the approval on that for the federal money?
Yeah. So the money goes to the state to distribute, and then it's distributed, I think, based on Title I formulas by districts. And so, but essentially the state has guidelines from the feds, and they will be the approval folks because the feds don't have the capacity to approve everybody in the nation. So the state will run it through their systems.
Okay, cool. And I just wanted to touch on the property committee. We haven't had, it's been probably a couple meetings now that we haven't had property committee meetings. And I know, unfortunately, we're losing one of the property committee members.
Vacancy.
Yeah, so anyone interested? So I just wanted to kind of float out there that we haven't had meetings a couple times in a row and we're losing a member for property committee. So it might be worth maybe having a discussion about if we want that to continue or what we see that continuing as, since it's kind of drifting or adrift right now, I guess. Yeah, so.
Probably be a July organizational meeting topic and what committees we might want for the following year. Kind of thing.
Sounds good. And then I know 1 or 2 meetings ago, we had a discussion about the traffic study out of the Redwood area, and we had wanted to schedule the guy to be at a meeting, and just want to make sure that's still coming up.
Yeah, it's still on our radar. I don't know if Sherry wants to speak to it, but I would just share right now how overwhelmed we are on a number of fronts, and that is really, I guess, because we're not necessarily building a new middle school yet at this time, and et cetera. It has dropped to a lower priority for us to follow up on. I'll admit that for sure, just because of the amount of stuff that we're having to do.
Sure. Yeah, I totally understand.
Yeah, but we will keep that. Thank you for keeping.
And half of this is just to keep me reminded of these things too. So, so thank you. And then I know I'm probably beating a dead horse here, but I was just wondering if we had heard anything from Pacific Power about the grant for the electric bus program yet, if they had responded to an email or anything.
Yeah, I'll let Sherry speak to that, but we weren't prepared to do it all this evening. I think she was able to have a conversation with somebody yesterday. So Sherry, go ahead.
I actually am going to have a conference call with a couple of folks from Pacific Power. Hopefully we're going to do that either tomorrow or Thursday. We haven't nailed down a time yet, so working on that.
So thank you.
Yep.
And number 6. Correct me if I'm wrong, but we were supposed to get the results of the iResolve investigation last Friday. Is that right?
We got 2 of the 3 investigation reports on Friday.
Okay.
And I believe Bill Ransom sent a communication to the board about process. And so we are still working through that process. And I anticipate there may be an executive session at the next board meeting as related. If board members would want to, you are welcome to. Legal counsel has advised that we not let any hard copies leave and don't distribute any digital copies at this time. So if board members are interested to review those reports, I would ask that to give me a little bit of time because there's some processes that I need to execute prior to inviting the board to review those.
So from what Bill communicated though, the board, he recommended the board not be involved until the board, before it came before the board.
Correct.
So I would just say there will be a time and place. I wouldn't try to go read the report. That was Bill's entire intention, was to keep the board
In case it comes to us,
out of.
it can't be tainted or
We
sequestered.
can't be tainted. We can't be reading things until it comes to us at the appropriate time. So that was his recommendation to the.
Correct.
So just a clarification, I think we bought the report. When you said we, it's fuzzy as to who you meant was receiving the report. At one point, we thought the board was receiving the report, but that changed. And now it's somebody in administration is receiving the report.
So Sherry is.
And then they have to follow the process from there.
I believe we got the 3rd report today, correct, Sherry?
Yes, I just got it about 5 o'clock.
So So when we have, and I'm not going to get into it, I'm just asking questions here. When we have the executive session about it, are we going to be like, my process is I need to like review things before I need to think about them. So are we going to have time to do that?
I'm hoping so. Again, I'm relying on Bill Ransom and Nancy Hungerford to guide us through this. I'm expecting to do so. I've asked them to make sure the board has time to review those prior to a meeting. I know that copies of all the reports will be available in a meeting we have, and it may be a series of meetings as in addition. So working with legal counsel on each step along the way, and there are a few things.
Well, it hasn't reached our level.
Right. But at some point, I'm going to need to review the reports.
And you want,
So I feel
ample
informed
time.
to make a decision.
That's what he's saying.
Yeah. Okay.
So that my view, what I think is going to happen is we'll have our first executive session, which administration will tell us what it was they did
Decided.
and whether there was an appeal or not. If there's an appeal,
That's when it's on our plate to us.
later meeting executive sessions where the board would then become a player.
I see.
And at that point, you can have as many meetings as you want to.
I have one more thing on a different matter. Thursday, the city's Parks Advisory Committee will have a session in the city council chambers. It'll be a Parks Committee group supplemented by 5 new people, of which your family's involved. Is it your wife, Nikki?
Yes.
Yes. She is one of 5 added on to this property committee for purposes of determining what to do with this swimming pool that's on the corner over here. And I think what's real important to me is this thing is moving real fast, a lot faster than I might have expected. They have already looked at a potential location of maybe 5 choices. So they're going to be talking about this Thursday, and when I'm sitting there, I'm actually going to convene the meeting because Susan Jenkins is out of town. I want to know what you, as District 7 people, what are your preferences with the location of the city swim pool? It's not your pool. It's not District 7's pool. It's not even the ground that it's in. That's the city's. But the city's going to make a move here, one way or another. They're either going to stay where it is, or they're going to go to, believe it or not, it could be Reinhardt Volunteer Park, could be Morrison Centennial Park, could be Parkside, Riverside, Ortola Park. There are a lot of locations, Riverside Park across the river. There are a lot of locations where a swimming pool might be a best location for the city of Grants Pass, community of Grants Pass. So if you have any feelings on that, please share them with me. Let me know between now and Thursday, or even after Thursday, because what we need to do, I believe they're going to replace the pool in total. They'll get a grant. And so it should be done right, in the right place, in the right way. So I'm just looking for, where does District 7 stand on this?
I would even go farther than that and ask right now if any board members want to express any opinions on that from the school board or the school district's perspective, since that meeting's happening Thursday. If anyone has any feelings about it, Cliff and I would sure like to hear them.
Why can't?
First of all, what is our district administration's thoughts?
So district administration does not recommend purchasing the current pool or property in its current condition. The district does benefit greatly from the current location because we're able to provide swimming instruction to all freshmen or intro to PE courses, both in the fall and in the spring. So it has been a real benefit for us as a district in that regard. And so, however, we do not believe we're in the business of operating pools, public. And so that's the recommendation by administration at this time.
Does the administration have a position on whether they would like the city pool to stay in this location or be in another location?
To benefit our school district, the current location and rebuilding in the current location would be optimal in terms of benefit to the district. So.
Appreciate that. Right.
I would agree, keeping it here would be, but that's my, invested view in what's best for the district. I agree. I love the perk of having it there. I understand if the city makes a different decision, but if I had to say, I would say keeping it and rebuilding it here would be my vote, so we can have access to all the city's high schoolers getting access to it across the street.
I think that it serves the majority of the greater Grants Pass kids. And I think it's kind of nostalgic to be able to grow up at the pool and then go to the high school that you're always at.
I would also add that because some of the locations are properties that are suggested that the district owns right now, that's a considerable undertaking. And is the city wanting to buy it or continue for us to own the property and any improvements to the property over the long haul of the ownership of that property needs to be factored in. And so staying tuned in to what this committee decides, if it's Portola Park, that's pretty significant. I'm not sure what location in the Parkside All Sports Park area that is being considered. But those are some other factors that I think will need to play in for this board.
Sounds like something for the property committee.
It definitely does.
And for the press listening, those locations are not viable or even really, I mean, it hasn't even gone to the committee yet. So that's just Cliff talking.
Not front page news tomorrow.
Yeah.
Will be
That's
now.
okay, I have the agenda in my pocket.
Touche.
Oh, snap.
Thanks, Cliff.
Anything else from the board, Gary?
Opening our meeting back up now that essentially you were at much lower risk for COVID and that kind of stuff. What's going to be our pathway to letting public attend our meetings again?
I think a lot of that's predicated on what we are or are not going to be required from the state. So we're still expected to maintain 6 feet in this room.
State, not ODE though. ODE, no jurisdiction over the school board meeting.
So I think part of it is what's the board's interest in checking vaccine cards for general public. There's a number of factors I think that need to weigh in there for the palate of the board regarding those meetings, and then physically trying to make sure we're able to broadcast to greater community and provide recordings, or just one of those is a preferred option. I would add those are factors for the board to consider going forward.
I would love it if this room was bigger. If we could bump this wall out.
So on the list of projects
yeah, that
we're
was on our
looking at is increasing capacity at the district office. One of the things we don't have is a physical location for Grants Pass GP Flex, and that incorporating it into the district office. So adding onto this facility is something that may be viable through these funds. And so that's on the list of projects Sherry's got people started on, including ZCS, reviewing the current structural capacity of this building and what it looks like to add on and create more space. So
Do we need to hire a temporary project manager to help Sherry?
we may. So as these things are getting off the ground right now, between having James, who will not be with us very soon, and Nate, they've been able to manage thus far. And so part of just building capacity within the district, Sherry and I are having that conversation. We've discussed that in a couple of ways this last week. Great question, though. There's a lot to take on right now.
So I think we need to some kind of way figure out within certainly the next couple of months how the meetings can be open to the public, and people can voluntarily show their vaccination card if they want to, and if they don't, they can do whatever else the state requires. And I mean, if we have to, we're still going to do the Zoom thing for who knows how long. We could certainly go to some form of lottery system that allows, there's this many spots that people could sign up for, and the rest of them have to be Zoom or something. But we should be planning to let people back in our meetings in person.
Well, I'm all in favor of that. However, even before COVID, this room was woefully inadequate to house all the people that would cram in here. I mean, you remember, I mean, we were all smashed over here and everybody's kind of sitting in 4 rows. It was a hot, very uncomfortable room for everybody to be in. I mean, I'm fine with people coming back, but I would agree with Brian. This is an inadequate space to be able to do that. And we just spent a lot of money to increase our sound system, and so it's just kind of a conundrum here to bring people back, but this is not the right place to do it. We would need to find another location.
Yep, beautiful facilities.
Yeah, I mean, the auditorium, I mean, you could put the board up on the stage and have people come to the auditorium. They could be spaced out. I mean, there's a lot of other things to look at, but as far as this room being the place to bring people back to, I struggle with that.
I didn't say they had to come back here.
You want to get up on stage?
We'll explore facilities and technology capacity in other locations. One being, as Scott maybe mentioned, the stage is the commons. Potentially, if we equip it with the right technology, is that a viable option? So we will explore those. Director Bloomquist has been pretty nimble with getting creative on the technology front.
I think that bringing or allowing the public the opportunity to come back would, especially during this time, they don't feel heard enough already. And when they're little chat bubbles, it makes it hard.
And I think indoor capacity right now is at 25% or 15% because of our current risk level, but that's about to go up or down. Or
Depending on which one you're talking about.
yeah, sorry. The capacity is going to go up. The risk level is going to go down. Thanks.
Hold on, I'll find it.
All right. Anything else?
Had we talked about Mike Weber, doing something with Mike Weber? Did we not? Have we?
I think we're waiting also to see if it's recommendations or requirements that come from the state. So much ado about nothing potentially.
Yeah.
At least that's where I'm.
Mike.
Yeah.
So we have been doing a regular Monday morning meeting with the health department in Three Rivers and Grants Pass, and Mike had nothing new for us this week.
Is that something that we could be a part of?
Yeah. I mean, we're actually done with them. This is our last week of having them. So until new information comes out.
Absolutely.
Send to the link.
Exactly.
Too funny.
We do have one other thing. So several months ago, we voted to extend Kirk's contract, and we do need to finalize the contract before July 1st. And so from what I understand, we typically have 3 board members that will meet to go over that and then present it to the rest of the board, if I remember correctly. And that usually includes the chair and the vice chair and I think that's how it goes. And anyone who would like to participate, we typically have 3. So do we have anyone who would like to participate with me on that?
I'll work on it if you need somebody else.
Okay, Cliff. Gary? Okay. Okay, well, we'll sit down after this meeting and find a time to meet, and then we'll bring that back to the board. So, all right, anything else? Then we will go to 5.0 or action items, 5.1.1, District SIA Plan.
I move that we approve the SIA plan as presented.
Okay, thank you. We have a second?
I second. Member Durbin.
Thank you. Any further discussion? Gary?
That approval for all 3 years or just this next?
The plans has to be revamped every year for a projected 3 years. So.
Thank you.
Yep.
All right, hearing no further discussion with regards to the SIA plan. Tanya, will you give us a roll call vote, please?
Member De La Grange.
Yes.
Member Durbin.
Yes.
Member Brownell.
Yes.
Board Chair Nelson.
Yes.
Member Coolman.
Aye.
Member Wilkins.
Yes.
Member Richardson.
Yes.
Okay, thank you. So our next meeting is on June 22nd at 5 p.m. And the public will be determined, I guess. We'll find out. For now, I guess we'll plan to hold it only on Zoom until we get further direction. And then our next board meeting in July will be on the 13th. So, and we will adjourn our regular session and we'll convene our executive session in 5 minutes.
That's just Brian.
Yeah,
He did
no,
it for
help
himself.
yourself. Yeah.
Oh, you ordered, good for you.
Yeah.
Like,
I was-
Tanya, you're so.
Brownell second.
It's been moved and seconded. Any further discussion? Okay, can I have a roll call vote then, please, Tanya?
Member De La Grange.
Yes.
Member Durbin.
Yes.
Member Brownell.
Yes.
Board Chair Nelson.
Yes?
Member Coolman.
Yes.
Member Wilkins.
Yes.
Member Richardson.
Yes.
All right, motion carries. Thank you. And we will adjourn our regular session.
Yeehaw. Who waited for 12 people?